did you vote for assisted suicide? A lot of people are horrified, appalled that 70 members of the Scottish Parliament voted to introduce assisted suicide in Scotland. How awful. But my challenge to you would be, they voted for it, but did you vote for it as well? In the 2021 Scottish election, the Scottish Greens put in their manifesto that they promised to introduce safe and compassionate laws that allow terminally ill adults the right to an assisted death. So that's pretty straightforward. So if you put your cross next to the Green Party, you are voting for that promise in their manifesto. Now you may say, oh, well, I voted for them, but I didn't like that policy. Well, you may not have liked that policy, but you voted for it. You voted for it in any case. And voting for the Greens, you're voting for their manifesto. How about the Lib Dems? Maybe you voted Lib Dems. Lib Dems back assisted suicide. The Scottish Liberal Democrats voted in favour of assisted suicide at the party's conference in Aberdeen. That was back in 2015, and it's been their policy ever since. They keep it in the background, but that's the Lib Dems. When they come knocking on your door, they're talking about potholes and this sort of thing. But if you look at what they actually stand for, they've got an extremely so-called progressive agenda. So Scottish Liberal Democrats, it's been their policy to introduce assisted suicide for many years. Now we hear very often, oh, assisted suicide, it's not a party political issue. Well, yes it is, because there's two parties who've got explicitly committed to it. Right, let's go on to the Labour Party. Got a report here from before the election last year. Stormer pleased to keep promise to Esther Ranson on assisted dying vote. Dame Esther had a telephone conversation with Sir Keir earlier this year about ensuring time for a debate on the issue in Parliament. So, I think Keir Starmer's obviously an enthusiast for assisted suicide. When he was the Director of Public Prosecutions, he effectively legalised it because he refused to press charges against anyone who had helped someone to commit suicide. And so the Labour Party, in promising to give time to debate on assisted suicide, that's like saying, we're going to create the opportunity for this to happen. Create the opportunity. Now, that's not being neutral. That's very much leaning towards being in favour of assisted suicide. That's the UK Labour Party. The Scottish Labour Party, I think, hasn't had that sort of line in the past, but certainly anyone who voted Labour in 2024 was a vote which would be interpreted as backing a party that was definitely leaning towards assisted suicide. Right, how about the SNP? You may think, oh, well, John Swinney voted against it, Kate Forbes voted against it. I think the majority of SNP MSPs voted for assisted suicide, but let's look at their manifesto from 2021. It said, going forward, we'll run annual citizens' assemblies to look at some of the more complex issues we face as a country. We'll bring together a cross-section of people from across our country to discuss topics such as reform of council tax and the role of local government, assisted dying and decriminalisation of drugs. So the SNP was promising, we're going to have discussions about this. We're going to be inviting the citizens of the nation to give their views on this. Now, if you want things to just stay as they are, do you do that? Do you try and encourage debate, give opportunity for discussion, hear people's views about it? No. You do those things with a view to creating the opportunity for change. So the SNP wanted to put it on the agenda for what purpose? To bring about the opportunity for change. So I'd say the SNP as well was leaning towards assisted suicide. Right, how about the so-called Conservative Party? Their manifesto in 2021 said, we will maintain the position that assisted dying is a matter of conscience and will respect the will of Parliament. Saying it's a matter of conscience, translation, we don't really care. Okay, we don't care which way our MSPs vote. We don't really care what the result is for that. But the one thing they are promising is if assisted suicide does pass in the Parliament, they won't be trying to repeal it. They will respect the will of Parliament. Now, I think that's classic Conservative Party. On current trends, I mean, it's going to happen eventually, even if it doesn't quite make it over the final hurdle, which in my view it is virtually certain to do. But even if it doesn't, there'll be another attempt. It will happen eventually on current trajectory. And the Conservatives are promising already they won't repeal it if it does happen. So the Conservatives, I'd say they're mildly in favour. If it's introduced, well, that's fine, but they won't do anything about it from then on. The Reform Party, most of their MPs in Westminster voted in favour of assisted suicide. So the Reform Party, again, is a party that basically doesn't care. It's a party that probably just wishes the issue would go away. It splits their vote, potentially. So also, if assisted suicide passes, will the Reform Party be seeking to repeal it? Well, no, certainly not. Alba, same story, don't care. I mean, their one MSP happened to vote against it, but as a party, they don't have any view. I would imagine they'd be split down the middle on the issue. Whereas the Scottish Family Party, it's very straightforward. As a matter of party policy, we oppose assisted suicide, and we always will. And any legislation that's passed, we would repeal it. That's always the missing thing, isn't it? See, we've got parties in favour of it. We've got parties that are a bit sort of mushy, maybe a bit in favour, don't quite know, don't care. But what's missing is parties who are against it, who would say, we would do something about this at whatever stage we can. In a democracy, a nation gets what it votes for. Now, a lot of people are appalled at what's happened now, but probably looking back, maybe you're one of them. You might reflect and think, well, what part did I play in this? What part did my vote play in bringing about this situation? Now, of course, during election campaigns, this is just not addressed. You can watch dozens of hours of BBC election coverage, and they'll be talking about the NHS and the economy and certain issues related to schools, etc. You will not hear anything about assisted suicide or other pro-life issues. As though they're not regarded as a serious election issue, then people vote parties in on the basis of other issues and then just see what happens. It's a bit like playing Russian roulette. You elect politicians and parties sort of at random in terms of assisted suicide. You don't know what they think, you don't know what they're going to do, so vote them in and let's see what happens. Well, at the moment it's not working out very well. So what needs to happen instead? Obviously, we urge people to vote for the Scottish Family Party. If this is an important issue for you, then let it determine your vote. Let the other parties see that this determines your vote. And then as more and more people support us, that will attract more and more support and we'll be able to make a difference in the Parliament. That's one side. People have to use their votes to express what they believe in. But we also need to shift public opinion. Ultimately, in a democracy, it's public opinion that's going to hold sway. So we need to shift public opinion. But part of our mission as the Scottish Family Party is to use the political system, the political arena, in order to shift public opinion. So when we've got our first couple of MSPs, the most important thing they will do will be addressing the nation, bringing these discussions into the media, to wider society, and that will be a very powerful thing in the longer term project. But what do people tend to focus their energies on instead? It tends to be trying to influence the politicians we've already got. Now, some of the MSPs in the debate in the Parliament on assisted suicide, they said they'd literally received thousands of letters on the issue. Thousands. So though this is maybe like the biggest issue they've ever addressed, the voters are more concerned about this than any other issue. But the problem is that they get animated and active when the issue is under discussion in Parliament, but during the election campaign and on polling day, which is where the real power is in a democracy, then they're asleep. Those things pass them by. Once a group of MSPs are elected, it's too late to try to change their minds and influence them. It's too late. In a democracy, you've got to get the right people in the Parliament, not try to influence the ones that are there. In Scotland, I estimate that the effort and resources that have gone into trying to influence MSPs on this issue might be roughly 20 times the effort and resources that went into trying to elect MSPs that are pro-life at the last Scottish election. And I don't think that's a good tactic. In a democracy, we need to vote for what we believe in. And if you don't vote for what you believe in, you're probably, in effect, voting against it. And why would anyone want to do that? So be part of the solution. Join the Scottish Family Party right now. There's a link below. And thanks for watching.